Hey everyone, this is Caleb from eBike Choices, and today is going to be awesome as we are going to be ride reviewing the Engwe L20. The L20 is a cargo slash commuter e-bike. It has 7 gears and it's a nice step through bike, as you can see. So as you can see, we've got a nice step through design, nice big battery, some fat tires on this. These are 20-inch tires by 4 inches wide, and yeah, it's a pretty nice design. I will say I'm pretty impressed with the build quality of this bike. So the fenders are metal. There's a nice cargo rack here, max of 25 kilograms there. We've got a basket in the front that you can strap stuff to. It's got some nice tie down points. The max there is 3 kilograms. We've got our front light. We've got disc brakes on front and rear. We got a nice sized lithium ion battery. This is a 48 volt system. And it's a 13 amp hour battery, which gives us 724 watt hours. So definitely plenty to ride around with, everything that you need to do. We also have a place to put a water bottle cage on there. And we got our controls up front. We got a nice little bell so that we can let people know that you're passing. We got 7 speeds. You can see that. And here is our derailleur. Now, one of the really cool features of the L20 is that it has this guard in here. So as you can see, like, this is your derailleur in here, and this guard is welded to the frame of the bike. And why I really like this and why I think this is an amazing feature is that if you tip over or you dump the bike, or the bike just falls over by itself, or whatever reason something happens to it where it falls this way, this is going to protect your derailleur so that way it's not going to destroy it. This is a pretty heavy bike, and this is a very nice feature that they built in so that way if you do tip it over, you're not going to break it, which is really nice. So now that we have a basic overview of the bike, let's go and actually turn it on, and we'll walk through the modes and show you how this thing actually works. So Engwe includes a key with their bike, and this is a multi-function key. So obviously you take it out, you can't take the battery out, it's locked in there. Also, you can't turn the bike on, it's in the off position. So if you want to take the battery out, like to charge it, or you're going to leave it for a while, or you can leave it outside and you don't want the battery out there, you can flip the seat forward, you push this end to unlock, and then you lift the battery out, and it comes all the way out. And then you can lock it right back into place, and everything's good to go. So in order to turn it on, we're going to switch the key to on. At this point, the key can't come out, so it actually holds it in there. It's captive at that point. And we're going to go to our controls. On the back side here is the actual power button. So we hold that down, and then it turns on. So you got your battery indicator, you've got your speedometer, you've got your pedal assist mode, PAS. Right now it's at 0, which means there's 0 assistance. And I've gone 8.9 miles. So to turn pedal assist on, there's 2 buttons down here. The leftmost button is it increases your PAS, or your pedal assist. So it goes all the way up to 5, and then you can turn it down with the right button all the way back down to 0. So when it's at 0, that means that there's 0 pedal assist whatsoever. So over here on the right handlebar is your throttle. And so since I'm in mode 0, I can twist this thing, nothing's gonna happen. And then as soon as I turn it up to 1, the bike's gonna start to move, just like that. So some other cool features are they actually give you metal pedals, which is really nice. They're not plastic, so you can actually like hit this on a curb or a rock, and it's gonna do a nice job. The other thing is that they have disc brakes, which I really appreciate. This is a really heavy bike. This thing's solid, which is great, but it also weighs a lot. So it's nice to have the disc brakes to help slow the bike down and keep everything safe. On the shock, we've got a port for air, so you can put more air into it or take air out depending on how much cargo you have and your riding weight. And you can also lock out the front shock. So we could twist this to lock, and you can no longer, it basically turns into a rigid bike. And then you just switch it back to open and the shock is back engaged again. So that's an overview for the bike. Let's get out there and ride this bike and see how it performs. We're doing 25 miles an hour right now. And for the position of this bike, you're sitting up pretty high and it still feels pretty stable. I will say though, going around some of the corners where it's a little bit tighter, and it actually jumps pretty well too. But as you're going around some of the really tight corners, being up this far, is a little bit more challenging and you can't go as fast around some of the corners. But given that also there's some pretty fat tires on this bike, so it allows you to lean over really well and maintain that control. So like for example, like this one, had to come in pretty tight. Nice big hairpins. All right, so for this one, we're gonna do a 0 to basically 23 miles an hour max speed. How long it takes to do that. This is a relatively flat grade, and so we'll see what our time is. All right, right there. That's pretty good. So now that we're going this fast, how long does it take to stop this bike? So let's find that out. We'll get up here to a nice straight section and then we'll give it a shot. All right, so brake test going at 23 miles an hour in 3, 2, 1, go. There it is. So definitely pulling down pretty hard on the brakes. Left a little bit of a skid mark, so that's good to know that there's enough stopping power to actually get the tire to slide. What I will say though is that the L20's brakes, while they work, they're not really powerful. Meaning if I needed to stop right away, I couldn't do it. But if you got plenty of time to plan ahead and like when we go into this corner, it's all good. But if like something came out right in front of me or something happened, it definitely takes a while to get this bike to slow down and stop all the way. So let's talk about some pros and cons. So I think Engwe did a great job with this bike. It's a really solid build. It's a lot of fun to ride. You can haul some cargo. And it feels really stable. I really do like the fat tires. And I think they did a good job with it. So my pros would be the shifting on this bike is really well done. The front shock, the front suspension is amazing given this type of bike. You know, this is probably one of my favorite front suspensions that I've ridden so far. Usually with these kind of bikes, you know, front suspension is a nice thing, but if you bottom it out, you know, it's not the best. And this one, they actually did a really great job. So that's definitely a pro for me. Another pro is the build quality. I think they did a fantastic job putting this bike together. Really well thought out. As far as the cons, there's not many. So I'd say the only thing I'm not a big fan of is the power of the brakes. The stopping power behind this bike is a little bit lacking in my opinion. This bike weighs a lot, and especially if you put cargo on it, it's going to weigh even more. So I feel like they should have put some, you know, beefier brakes into this. That would be the only con that I could come up with on this bike. So if you're looking for a cargo bike, this is a great option. Just be aware that the stopping power is, you know, a little bit lacking, but overall, Engwe did an amazing job with this bike. All right, let's do the hill climb test. We are in pedal assist mode 5, and for this test, I'm gonna purely just use the throttle, and we're gonna see how the bike performs up this steep hill. So here we go. Right now we're about 15, 16 miles an hour, 17. The L20 is doing a pretty good job. And I like the system. It's a 48 volt system. It's got some power. So right now we've got 4 out of 5 bars on our battery. The hill's getting a little bit steeper. And it's still holding, you know, 14 to 15 miles an hour, pretty consistent. I imagine if you had more weight on this bike, it would be a little bit slower. You know, obviously, I don't have any cargo on it except for myself. But it's doing a good job, and with the gearing of this bike, you could also pedal with it, which is a really nice feature. Most of the time when you hit top speeds on other brands, you can't really pedal. There's really nothing to grab onto. But this one, there's enough gearing where you could definitely pedal still. So you give the bike a little bit of a boost as well if you needed to. All right, well that will do it for today's adventure. Thanks for joining me on reviewing the Engwe L20. Until next time, pedal fast and go further. And we'll see you in the next one.